Hey guys, David here, and I want to touch on very quickly, or maybe not so quickly. You know me, the concept or the what's going on inside of you as you're getting in better shape. Somebody had talked about they were working in the yard, and they found that they could really plow through some gardening and some pretty laborious stuff, and actually feel pretty good, feel strong and competent, even though they're not walking around all big and muscly. But they really felt good. They felt they really made some significant changes in the course of their strength and endurance and coordination. And people were saying, "Yeah, I'm just feeling better." So this is happening. What's going on? Well, there's probably 1,000 things or so going on, and a lot of them we're not even aware of. But the things that we know, the big things that we know that occur, of course, at almost at service level, would be the one thing would be, of course, coordination. And coordination really talks about the nervous system, and the nervous system, the firing patterns of muscles, right? The repetition of behavior over time. So it's like you're learning how to ride a bike. Well, your brain has no reference point for left or right, the balance, the subtleties of the nuances of movement, right? The real subtle movement patterns when it comes to developing balance. And there's just very light little shifts in behavior that are so powerful, but are so slight. So we look at nervous system recruitment patterns or motor recruitment patterns. It's really talking about the motor cortex of the brain creating these beautiful neural maps in response to our thoughtful repetition, right? And I said thoughtful because if you go in there and your brain's shut off and you just want to get a good sweaty workout and you got your music blaring and you're not even paying attention, well, because you're not paying attention, neither is the brain. And it uses the easiest patterns that you have available. And generally, they're the wrong ones. They're the ones that you used before you started training. And so the brain really reverts back to the easiest way to get the job done. It could care less that you want a nice ass and great shoulders and a strong tummy. The brain does not care. It says, listen, let's find the easiest pattern of behavior to get the job done. So that's why it's so we really hammer in the idea of think, feel, and do, and which is why when I invented and developed the whole SAM concept, the whole philosophy of NeuroFit is this cognitive kinetic reprogramming of sensory responses to movement, right? Like kind of a mouthful. But we have to realize that we're dealing with a nervous system. The nervous system is just taking all this data. We want to educate it. So the fine-tuning of behavioral patterns, the fine-tuning of these recruitment patterns of muscle makes it easier for us to push weights around, to develop balance, speed, coordination, all these things. And of course, as we become more competent at that level, as the brain becomes more competent and has a greater sense of awareness of what the objective of the training program is, of course, we become more fine-tuned, which means we can lift a little heavier, we can go a little faster, we can do a little more volume, right? So all these things allow the body to step into the next level, which in turn challenges it some more, resets the bar. The brain goes, okay, I need more muscles recruited. Let's say, for example, if I'm doing barbell squats and I'm squatting 100 pounds, and brain's going, okay, last thing you had on your shoulders that heavy was a 30-pound child, right? So didn't weigh 100 pounds. So now I have to accommodate what muscles do I have to turn on, what's bracing, stabilizing muscles do I have to access, what do I do with the weight? The brain's trying to figure out what to do with all this stuff. And then after a while it figures it out, and all of a sudden 100 pounds, I don't even feel it on my shoulders. So I up the ante and I put another 100 pounds on. Now I have 200 pounds. Step out of the rack, my brain's going, holy crap, okay, that's 100% difference from what you did before. Now I have to relearn what to do with this weight. Recruit more muscle, bring more muscle online, right? So let's say you started with 50,000 muscle fibers you're activating, just a number, it's not accurate, but just to give it a reference. If I had 100,000 muscle fibers in my body I had access to, the 100-pound squat would only require, let's say, 50,000, maybe half of them. So when I added an extra 100 pounds, the brain's going, holy crap, out of the 100,000 muscle fibers, we were only using 50,000 previously, we're going to need another 25,000. So it recruits another 25,000, now I'm 75,000 muscle fibers into the activity. Height metabolism, right? Metabolism goes up, more muscles are recruited, takes more energy to drive them, right? And now my brain's figuring out how to use these extra muscle fibers to right the ship. And as I keep progressing, I turn on more and more muscle fibers as I train harder or faster, right? So it's one thing that occurs. The second piece that occurs, of course, is metabolic adaptation. And the metabolic adaptation comes in a few different ways. So in the beginning, if you're sitting on your can most of the time, you had a busy life, but not a really stressful life as far as physical stress where you're training hard, you don't store energy very well, right? So the amount of glucose you'd store in muscles and liver would be probably fairly limited because, well, where's the demand? We're not doing anything. So all of a sudden, we're going to add an additional 300 to 600 calorie deficit to your day in exercise. Your brain, and of course, you're banging on your knees and you feel nauseous, and brain, you're always a low blood sugar. The brain's going, "You're an idiot. This is just a disaster." Well, if you keep that pattern up, keep that pattern of behavior up, and keep pushing that envelope a little bit, the brain goes, "Okay, there's an adaptation that has to occur here based to impose demand." So the acronym is called SAID, Specific Adaptation to Impose Demand. Right, so the specific adaptation to impose demand and repetition is that we only store so much glucose for this activity. We run out of gas, right? We run out of gas at 12 reps, we want to do 15. We keep creating these specific demand, and the imposed adaptation is I store more energy inside the muscle, right? Maybe I recruit some more muscle fibers, and now I can push those 15 repetitions out like that, right? That was a very specific adaptation to that demand. Cardiovascular training is the same way, right? Go for a run. My legs are kind of wobbly. My lungs feel like they're being ripped out, right? I want to throw up, right? So all of a sudden, so neurologically, right? I'm developing better coordination. The muscles understand the running piece. Heart and lungs start developing some changes. So we get the left ventricle of the heart. We'll increase the chamber size, so I hold more blood, right? So when my heart contracts, it ejects more blood, so my heart rate comes down. So if I can hold more blood, eject more blood per beat, it doesn't require so many beats to keep me going. I develop more red blood cells, more hemoglobin. I carry more oxygen more efficiently inside the bloodstream, so my heart doesn't beat up. It doesn't have to beat as fast. Like so many massive changes are occurring, and it's such a beautiful thing. Right, so so we get a change in cardiovascular conditioning, right? Stronger heart, bigger heart chamber, more red blood cells, more mitochondria, right? More mechanical efficiency in running, which of course makes it easier to run because I'm not fighting myself every time I go for a run. Better utilization of energy. The body understands how to utilize glucose, how to utilize fat more efficiently. So we develop an aerobic metabolism. The brain goes, okay, well now you created this very specific demand, and you're imposing this adaptation. I'm going to follow you as long as you keep going. As you stop going, I'm going to follow that new path. Sitting down is a state of behavior, right? Sitting down, lying down is a behavior, right? Doing nothing is a behavior. The brain goes, that's what we're doing next. That's the new imposed demand. Nothing. Nothing requires less, right? So the challenge is, with fitness is like trying to keep a feather in the air. Blow it up, and it comes down. As soon as it starts coming down, we got to blow it back up again. It never stays up there. As soon as we change our behavior, the body follows it. Does it mean we have to train 24/7, 7 days a week? Not at all. But it does mean that throughout the year, we have these peaks and valleys in our training. We have weeks and months of high levels of training, and then, of course, we may have weeks and months of low level of training, and it's peaks and valleys, and that's simply the way life goes. So great cardiovascular adaptation, metabolic adaptation, of course, storing more energy inside the muscle. We're more efficient at using our fuel supply, right? The brain understands what we're after. As well as also with neurotransmitters, of course, we develop a better nervous system because we heighten the neurotransmitters. We heighten the degree that we utilize them. We control pH of the bloodstream more efficiently. So, for example, if I'm doing activities that create a lot of lactic acid, and so the pH inside the muscle inside the bloodstream is changing. So all of a sudden, there's more hydrogen floating around inside my body, which is really disrupting the pH of my muscle. Because remember, we're mainly alkaline, right? We're mainly alkaline throughout our body, except for the areas, of course, like our stomach. And as soon as the pH starts to change, so I can develop that lactic acid, the hydrogen ion accumulation inside of a muscle, the brain will actually start flushing it out, but it'll bring in alkalining ions, alkalining minerals to neutralize it. It's like Tums for the tummy. I got hydrogen, which is acidic. I have calcium, for example, or potassium, which is more alkaline. I bind them, right, neutralize it, shuttle it off back into the energy system, reutilize it again. So as I develop a greater tolerance for lactic acid, it just simply means I have a better buffering system inside that muscle or the areas of my body to contend with the acid that's being developed, as is being offloaded from my work. So lactic acid, basically, think about, I'm combusting gas, I'm blowing out carbon monoxide. Well, that's kind of that's what the body's doing with our lactic acid. the energy is being utilized, the waste product is coming out, is accumulating inside the muscle, and we're just learning how to get rid of it. And the faster we get rid of it, of course, the harder we can train, the more tolerance we have, the better we get. Lots of stuff going on, right? So I'm not sure that's really confusing or not, but again, bone density, cross-sectional fiber muscle, cross-sectional area of the muscle. So, so your muscle fibers become more dense, right? Become stronger like rope, and all of a sudden we have greater tensile capacity, and our psychology even changes where. It's something we talked about before called neuromodulation. And neuromodulation is, well, kind of simply said, it's not a simple concept, but neuromodulation simply is my thought, basically in exercise, my thought process, my psychology surrounding the thing that I'm involved with. So for example, if I go into an exercise that creates lots of lactic acid, in the very beginning of the program, I thought that made me a big loser because I couldn't tolerate it and it hurt. And you freaking kidding me? I signed up for this nonsense. Right? This hurts. I was feeling good before I started training, and now I feel like crap. Right? I'm nauseous, I'm sweaty, right? My muscles ache. Well, neuromodulation really, when I start perceiving exercise, when I get into those areas where I'm a little nauseous, I'm pushing it hard, my muscles are on fire, actually I get excited because I know I'm at this threshold of change. Right, and I don't have to stay in the discomfort area too long. Right, I can sit in there and just bathe in it just for a little bit. If I just suffer just a little bit, I'll get this great reward on the other side. So my perception of movement and my concept around discomfort changes. So actually, instead of my body wanting to shut me down, which is what it tries to do when I'm fatigued, it's a safety mechanism. It goes into this inhibitory state. I do something we all do something now called de-inhibition training. We ignore it. We ignore the discomfort and we plow through it, and we teach the body to go to a different level. Because basically, you're just giving us a reference. Hey, listen, you're really sweaty, you're nauseous, your muscles are on fire. Do you want to stop? I'm just asking you. And we can say, if it's safe to do so, we can say no. I'm going to push through, do a few more reps, 1 more mile, 5 more minutes, whatever the case may be. And we safely plow through it, and we take the body to a whole new level, and we've created a whole new specific adaptation to a new imposed demand. So hopefully that helps. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's a big conversation with an amazing organism. But, again, our goal is train with accuracy, right? Train consistently, recover completely, and make it a lifestyle. And you'll actually have a very beautiful thing that you can be proud to live in and run in for the rest of your life. Okay, bye.